Hello everyone and welcome back to the Blaise XPerience. Today you are joining us for another episode, and this episode is going to be all about Daybreak once again, but this time it's not speculation. This time we've actually had Daybreak released, and we've actually done some playing of it. I've actually done about 18 hours streaming of it. I think I have my feet wet on it, and I think I have a good handle on how it is. But that being said, we do have a guest on here with us today. It's a guest you're already familiar with, and he was on episode number 26. He talked some facility mods with us. We do have YouTuber Mariss Liepa back. How are you, Mariss?
Hey, welcome back, guys. Yeah, awesome to be here with you again, Blaise. Yeah, hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back. I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
And Mariss and I did play some Daybreak together. We played on Wednesday. We're going to actually play some more together right after this podcast is recorded. So we had a lot of fun together, but unfortunately we didn't win when we played, but we're going to try and do that today.
Yeah, we are going for the aim today. So next podcast, definitely, I think Blaise will be starting with, hey guys, I'm winning. We are winning. Everything is fine.
Yes, exactly. We both have won, just not together yet. I know you won solo, and I won with duos, and I won with 4 players. So I haven't won solo or with 3 players yet.
Awesome. Looking forward to do it together.
Exactly. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But today we're getting into some tips for multiplayer. I know you haven't played, as much multiplayer, but I'm sure you can still, offer your tips on that. I'd listened to your YouTube video, which that link will be in the description, and you guys should definitely check out that YouTube video. It's a great video on Daybreak, but I think we have some great tips to offer about multiplayer.
Yeah, for sure. We are ready to bring them on, right?
Definitely. So we will get right into those, but before we do that, do you have any first impressions on Daybreak? Did you love the mode? Did you hate it? Did you kind of like it? How'd you feel about it?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm just jumping right ahead. Daybreak is, I'd say, amazing. I'm always skeptical. Just keep in mind, if I'm saying it's kind of good, it means like it's awesome, because I'm the real skeptic guy. So
right.
I still have some reserves, and of course there are some minor bugs that a little bit get you frustrated time after time. But overall, it's great addition to the game. Yes, it's awesome because it's separate, I'd say. It's good that it's not a content in the same game which everyone already plays for hours and hours, but it's separate. It's something totally new and fresh.
I agree, and I actually love Daybreak. I mean, I've literally played it for almost 24 hours already, and it's only been out for like 48 hours. So I've literally played it about half the time it's been out. So that says a lot. Yeah.
That's crazy, and I'm a little bit jealous because I had not this chance, but awesome.
Well, the only reason I had the chance is because I took extra time off work just to be able to play Daybreak. So that's the only reason I had the chance.
Lucky you.
Once I'm back at work, though, I'm unfortunately going to be able to play less, but that's going to be sad for me. But, Decay Fest has been going on all week. How do you think Decay Fest has been going?
Oh, this is crazy, yes. And the coverage, the creators, all the community together, which, well, thanks to you, is created. It's amazing. I'm just a part of it, and I am excited when I only see other streamers like going for the win, and I'm feeling like a little child in the sweet shop. This is amazing.
No, I think it's been a great event so far, and I've had a lot of fun with it, and I'm really glad people like yourself are actually into the event, and you wanted to join up and collaborate like this. So thank you to everyone that actually participated in Daybreak and Decay Fest. It was a lot of fun to have all of you in here with me participating in Decay Fest, and I'm definitely looking forward to organizing more events in the future. And I want to give a special thanks to Undead Labs too. It really means a lot that all of you supported us in this way and that you made this game. So this whole event was basically a big, giant thank you to Undead Labs. So thank you, all of you, and we really appreciate everything you do, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for this addition, because without awesome developers, without new DLCs being released, this never happened. So yeah, thank you, Undead Labs.
Exactly. But honestly, Daybreak is amazing. I only have a couple of small tweaks, which I won't mention in this podcast. I'll probably be a different podcast, but there's only a couple small tweaks I would make to improve it. But overall, it has almost no flaws, I would say. So I think it's an amazing mode, and I really love it. But that being said, I think we can get into some multiplayer tips. How about you?
Yeah, sure. Bring them on. I see already we have some knowledge to share. So yes.
So I didn't rank these tips. I normally rank tips, but this time I didn't rank them. I'm just going to give you guys 20 tips that aren't ranked technically. But one of the most important ones, I think, is it sounds kind of obvious, but as obvious as it sounds, you have to say it because it's so important. Like, you have to communicate with your teammates. I mean, if you don't communicate with your teammates, then you just probably won't win. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to find a team that won't communicate and still wins. Like, you'd have to, I don't know even how you do that. I mean, you have to communicate. You have to, like, oh, hey, Mariss, a wall's down, or hey, Mariss, I need help over here. Like, you have to communicate with each other.
Yeah, this is a great tip. And actually, as you mentioned, it's as we are speaking about multiplayer, we are speaking like 2 players or actually 4 players, and it's harder than it sounds because there are 4 people that you need 4 people, one to pass information and receive information, and there's just one channel. So expect some overlapping and not heard, and everyone speaking at the same time. It's a bit harder, I think, than it sounds.
It is, for sure. And I almost think duos is a little bit easier because with duos, you don't have as much in zombies, first of all, but not only that, you only have one person to communicate with, so okay, this is my area, I have to take care of this area, and if my partner needs help, I just go help my partner. But, I mean, if you only have 2 people, then you have to cover more, and more is on yourself. And that's kind of the same thing with solo, too. With solo, it's all on you, so you don't have to rely on anyone else. But with multiplayer, if you get to 4 players, then sometimes it's a little bit harder because you don't really know what you're doing. I mean, like, say if you have 4 players, not everyone's going to know their spot sometimes. So you really have to communicate and make sure everyone knows what their role is and where to be at all times.
Exactly. And I just to throw in even more information about this one point only, both extremes are not kind of good in the same sense. By that I mean speaking too much and taking all the channels so others can't pass the information, or speaking too little, like not passing the crucial information. So some middle ground would be necessarily here for this communication.
Right, I agree with that. And like you said, speaking too little, that can be a really bad thing too, because I've had some people over the week that I play with in Daybreak, and they barely communicated, and like they die or something, and I didn't even know they were hurt. I'm like, you died? Like you got to tell me this. Like, you got to tell me I need help. Like, if you tell me you need help, I'll go help you. Like,
I can help you out right away. Like speaking about myself, because I remember I had Juggernaut when we were playing, and Juggernaut is hitting, and I'm really trying, and in all that situation, you just forget to mention that there's a situation, guys, and when you are down,
right.
when you're dead, like then it's like everything's released, like there's waiting period, and then I mention like, guys, I died. Like, yeah, that's a bit too late,
Exactly, so, yeah. It's a little
bit
late.
I experienced how it is, and sorry for that.
No, that's fine. But like Mariss said, you don't want to wait till you're already dead to say you're dead. I mean, you want to try and get people over there as soon as possible. Like, if you're on the left side and you have 2 juggernauts rushing at you, let people know, hey, 2 juggernauts rushing at me, come help me, That way they actually know to help you.
Yeah.
But that's a big one. Another tip that's kind of related to that, though, is to try and name locations on the map to better coordinate with teammates. And I'll give a shout out to K Sizzle. He's actually the first one that brought this to my attention. Basically, on the left side of the map, for example, there's a little Waffle House banner that was like an old store. Or it's Waffle something. I don't think it's technically Waffle House, but it's Waffle something. And on the other side, on the right side, there's a little banner that says like Speedy something, and he called that one Peaks. So basically, if you have locations like that you can name out, oh, hey, I need help at Waffle, because we call out Waffle and Peaks a lot. So if we call out, hey, I need help at Waffle, that means I need help on the left side. And that is a good way to do it because if you're facing the opposite direction, you might head to the wrong side. So if you call out locations instead, everyone knows, okay, this is where that location is. So it's really good to name locations. And even if it's not the actual name, I mean, maybe you have like a different name that doesn't make any sense at all for a location. That's fine. As long as everyone that's playing with you knows what that name means, then you can all go to that location if you need to.
Yeah, and just keeping in mind, sometimes in stressed situations, which will be there in this game, people just mix up, and there are people who on normal daily basis mix up left to right, right to left. So yes, it's not the best way to go. So naming some specific names as yeah, that's awesome tip actually.
Yeah, definitely. Because say you were going out for a drop, Mariss, and you were running back the opposite direction, and I told you, "Hey, I need the left wall repaired." You might think I mean the right side of the map because you're facing the wrong direction. So that's kind of where that helps out.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Especially when things are getting hectic, you get really confused. It's like, oh, this side. Oh no, that side. So it really makes it better if you actually have named locations. And I think Undead Labs did a great job, especially out in the field where you get the drops too, to have locations you can kind of point out because there's like little picnic tables. There's like a dead guy on a bench. Like you can call out like, hey, I'm by the dead guy on the bench, getting this drop, or whatever you want to call out. That way people know exactly where you are.
Yeah. The map is not empty, so you can. I know always I'm looking. There's when I'm running for the drops. I don't know. I hope there's no any other tip related to this, but there's a little river in the mini map that you can see, which
is kind of cool.
Yeah, where you can already know that no point of running beyond that, because after the river there is never a drop, and if you see already the river, then yeah, if the drop is there, you will see it. Or if it's not yet, you can move along it.
Yeah, there's like a narrow drop, and then there's like a tent underneath that drop that I've seen. Yeah. But that's another tip we had. Another one that's similar to that, but it's not quite the same, is to use different ammo types, which this is the one that Mariss and I actually used when we played with Jade and Joe, because there's 3 different ammo types you can use. There's 7.62 ammo, which goes for your Stormbreaker and RTX Hordebreaker guns. There's shotgun ammo, which is used for the RTX Wolverine. And then there's also CLEO ammo, which is used for any CLEO gun. So it's important, you don't have to use all 3 different ammo types maybe, but it's important to have players using at least 2 of the ammo types. That way you're not wasting all of your ammo at once. Because if you're playing a 4-player game and you're all using the same ammo, you're all using up that ammo together. If, I'm playing with Mariss and somebody else and Mariss is using shotgun ammo, then that means that we're going to have more ammo of each other's ammo because we actually have different ammo we're using. So it's going to help out a lot to have different ammo that we're not all wasting the same ammo.
Yeah. And it's especially useful if you are only 2 guys or team. Then you have, as you mentioned, 3 types of ammo. So you can. I would suggest that's how I played solo. First 2 waves are too easy. You can just burn down all shotgun ammo and then switch to the rifle ammo, and then yeah, this is
exactly.
Useful.
No, that makes sense too. I mean, you might have wave 1, 2, and 3. Let's use up our shotgun ammo and save the CLEO ammo for the better waves or something. Which that might be a good tip too. I haven't tried that yet, but that's definitely something to consider that you said there.
Yeah, I'm just in my head. I'm already thinking about multiplayer and single player tips. I just don't want to mix up it.
Right. Yes, I will be doing single player tips in a future podcast, but this one's mainly multiplayer because I haven't played enough single player yet to give great tips on that. I've only played about 2 hours of single player, so I don't have a good enough feel for it to give tips on that yet.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think the only problem with this, not problem, but difficulty with the tip is if you have 4 people, then obviously you see there's two players will use the same ammo. And that must be distributed evenly between them, and that's
right.
A bit tricky. But yeah,
what I'd say is if you have 4 people, I would say use 1 person on shotgun, 1 person on 7.62 ammo, and then 2 people on CLEO ammo, because CLEO ammo you're going to find a lot in the CLEO drops. So I would suggest using 2 people on CLEO ammo. That's what I would suggest in that situation.
Yeah, great tip. And actually, I just ran through the drops, and yes, the CLEOs really often, and in almost every drop, where the shotgun ammo and rifle ammo is at some between some waves. Actually, I remember I tried to look for the rifle ammo and there was none. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit more rare to find those ammos. I mean, you can find them, but it's not going to come up as often. But that's it for that tip. Another tip we have is, similar to talking with your teammates, you have to coordinate where you're going to place certain items. So what I mean by this one is, say, when I was playing with P1 Gamer and K Sizzle, for example, we had different locations we place items that we know where they are. So, for example, on the catwalks that are like, you overwalk onto the front of the area, like you just kind of jump over the wall, basically. On those catwalks, we would usually place first aid kits and bandages. Well, actually, mostly first aid kits, because if you really need health, what you can do is jump up on that catwalk. There's a first aid kit right there, and then you can heal yourself. And we usually place bandages by the technician, for example, because if the technician needs to be healed, there's some extra bandages there. Or you might place wall kits, on the ground by the wall. That way you can actually, repair the wall when you need to. So it's important to actually know where your locations are going to be. You don't have to use those locations if you don't want. I mean, you can come up with your own locations that work for you, but I think it's good to actually have locations you're going to place items. That way you don't have to run back to the boxes, because those boxes in the back, it's going to take you too long to get back to those boxes. And by the time you get back to those boxes and sort through it, you're already going to be dead pretty much, or your technician's going to be getting hit, or, your wall's going to go down. So it's important to have locations closer to where you need to be that have the items you need.
Yeah, this is awesome tip, and I just saw in the stream how it was used, and then decided to go for it myself, and it's really useful. But keep in mind, there's one downside with this tip. As you know, if you drop any item on the ground, it appears as a little package, and you don't know what it is until you are right there. So
right,
as this is multiplayer, there are other people, so you need to decide where what to drop. So it's not like you are running after the last first aid, but you are picking up and it's a wall repair. Like, that would be a shame.
Right, yeah, because it does take a little bit of time to pick up an item too. So, like you're saying, you really have to make sure you coordinate with your team and make sure, okay, this spot is our first aid kits. Don't place anything else here but first aid kits. That way you know when you go to that spot, you're going to get a first aid kit.
Yeah, and I think extra tip, can I throw more? Right, I can.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm just thinking logically. Technician is in the center. Whenever wall breaks down, all the zombies are coming to the center, and I'm thinking about juggernauts especially. When they die, they are still on the ground, and it covers the ground. So if you want to place wall repairs or something, and inside the base, if you place them, how to explain, at the wall, not the wall that can be brought down, but left and right side, then there is like zero possibility that any zombies will die on the package. So you will, it's not getting covered, if you get what I'm trying to explain.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, so yeah, you might want to place, wall kits a little bit farther away from the center, just because the center, might go down first in some cases, but it depends what you're playing, what mode and stuff, because I've had a lot of situations, like, we're not going to talk about solo a lot, but solo, it seems like the farther walls go down first. So it just kind of depends, but you have to just judge it based on how you're playing.
Yeah, just the idea. At the first, I was thinking the same, like dropping near the technician some bandages would be a great idea. And then I realized, when everything goes bad and a lot of zombies come in and I throw explosives or something, all the zombie corpses will be on the ground. And if there's somewhere underneath the package that I need to find, that would be difficult. That was the plan. Like, keep in mind where the zombies' corpses will drop, and especially juggernauts, because if the package is underneath the corpse, I'm not quite sure you will easily find it.
But I think in that situation, though, if it is only bandages there, as long as you pick it up, if you hit the button to pick it up, then it should pick up a bag of bandages, because that's all that's there. So you're not sorting through anything, you're just trying to pick up a bag. So as long as the system can recognize there's still a bag there, then you should be okay, I think, though.
I'm just thinking, help me remember, when juggernauts die here, the area is still blocked as in a normal game, or you can go through the juggernaut?
No, actually, no. I remember one situation that I had a door blocked by that juggernaut. So I think you can't go through them. Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, that's something to look for, because imagine if the like a real like zombie apocalypse. You drop down something on the ground, and then huge juggernaut just dies over it, and you need to get under and pull it out. But yeah, that
Yeah,
might be
that'd be bad.
difficult.
No, that'd definitely be bad for sure. But beyond that, one tip that isn't related to coordination technically is to watch out for bloaters and don't let them too close to the wall, because honestly, in Daybreak, bloaters are going to be the worst thing for you if you let them get, too far in your face, because if a bloater gets too close to the wall, then basically that bloater is going to block that wall where you can't get to it. So a bunch of zombies can go to that wall. You can't get in that bloater gas. So the zombies are going to tear that wall down and you can't do anything about it. So you really want to make sure you keep the bloaters away from the walls, which is easier said than done sometimes. But if you see the bloaters on your mini map, what you can do is use your mini map and go, okay, there's a bloater there. Let me turn around and shoot him real quick. So you want to take out those bloaters as soon as possible.
Yeah, this tip actually should be at the top, because we really
For sure.
realized it quite soon that bloaters are the problem. And just I can mention already a few instances where it's bad. If in the bloater cloud afterwards Juggernaut goes down, you can't execute, because once you are in the cloud, you are
exactly
being interrupted. And the same goes for melee kills, so you have to use ammo to shoot some casual zombies if they are at the wall. So there are a lot of problems regarding huge those bloater gas clouds.
Yeah, I mean, it might sound counterintuitive, but I would say it's much more important to kill a bloater than a juggernaut, because a juggernaut, your instinct is, oh, I have to kill this juggernaut. There's this big guy that's going to take my wall out. The more important thing to do is kill that bloater, because if you start hitting that juggernaut and then that bloater comes and explodes on you, then you can't even kill the juggernaut, and then you're screwed. You take a lot of damage, you can't kill the juggernaut, and then your wall goes down, and it could be game over. So, you want to kill that bloater, that way you can kill the juggernaut in peace.
Yeah, just one extra, but that's like we are aiming like really high, and I think I used it once or twice, where I saw bloater running towards the wall, but at the wall I had a bunch of zombies, and I knew I had this flammable with me, and I let the bloater near the wall, because I knew at the moment I will throw flammable and that all will explode. And that's the only reason where you can consider letting bloater near it. But there are a lot of things to consider. If you have flammables, if their explosion will not, I don't know, hurt other player, if afterwards the juggernaut in the cloud is burning. A lot of things to consider if that's still the move to move on. But just mention there is once a few cases where you can let the bloater.
Right, and kind of like you say, I mean, this was first pointed out to me by Undead Labs dev Jurgen, and Undead Jurgen on Discord, and basically he pointed out to me that, the bloater gas can actually be taken away by explosives. So you can throw a firebomb and then get rid of that bloater gas. So if you have firebombs on you, then it's good to use those to get rid of the gas.
Yeah, and I think it gives extra explosion, even if you are throwing explosives or something.
Right.
You have the detonation explosion and then the gas cloud explosion, so it's kind of powerful. But just mentioning again, I used just in the game half an hour ago, the juggernaut afterwards is burning, and even if you do the execution, you will get burned as well. So you will lose quite a lot of health yourself. Just still a lot of consideration to be done before do that.
Definitely. But moving on, another tip is the tech is your priority. So you want to make sure that you sacrifice yourself for him if necessary, because if this tech dies, it's game over. If you die, you respawn. The tech doesn't respawn. So if you lose the tech, you lose the game. So it's very important that you protect the tech at all costs. If there's a swarm around the tech, then don't worry about the juggernaut. Get the guys off the tech.
Yeah, it's just a reminder of actually the DLC that all that you are doing, it's not about zombie kill count, not about saving the wall, not about looting the drop. It's all about this one guy that saves you all.
Well, we save him more than anything, but
Well, it goes both ways, you know.
I mean, come on, like this guy, all he does all day is just sit at a computer. You know, we have to do all the work for him.
True, but still, he gets the chopper to save us all. So yeah.
You know, I don't know who's paying this guy, but they got to pay him a little bit less.
Yeah, and a special point for this priority, just keep in mind the nasty ferals. If all the walls are still standing and everything, that doesn't mean that your tech guy is safe, because one nasty feral can be inside there and already getting your technician. So yeah,
right. So that's why I would say ferals are probably your top priority to kill, because a feral can jump over the wall and kill your tech. So I would say if you hear a feral, then your feral is your top priority, bloaters are your second priority, and then juggernauts are your third. Which sounds kind of weird because in the base game that's probably not the case. In the base game, the bloaters aren't even a thought really. Like it's bloater, whatever. You just drive by them or something. But in the Daybreak mode, ferals are most important to kill, and then bloaters, I would say.
Yeah. Well, we are speaking about multiplayer, so keep in mind that's I think my extra tip, just again bonus throwing in your podcast is we had sometimes this overlapping that if we see that, for example, bloater, then we have, let's say, 4 people noticed it on a mini map, and there is no need for 4 people to shoot at him. There's only 1 bullet needed. And similarly with ferals, if there's feral coming in, of course you want to get it down, but for everyone to switch to this priority target would not be something I would suggest, because there are a lot of other zombies, like evenly split, so you're not wasting bullet, because 1 shot for feral, 1 shot for bloater is enough.
Yeah, and that's a great point you make, and that kind of ties in with our communication point, because if you're communicating properly, you don't have that problem. I mean, if Mariss says, "Oh, feral, I'm going to go over the wall and get him," and I'm going to trust Mariss to do his job. Like, if Mariss says he's got him, then I'm going to assume he has him until he tells me he doesn't.
Yeah, that's the same, going back to communication. And the same thing, just logically thinking. And I think I sometimes did it against my advice, and I'm giving you now. If you're spread across the wall, all 4 people, and feral is coming from one far left, far right side, then I would not go for far end snipe from other side of the map. I would leave for those 2 players who are near the juggernaut, bloater, or something. And that's my problem, because I like sniping, and I constantly were trying and shooting bloaters at far other end of the map. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do like me, guy.
Right. No, definitely. I think that's a good point too. But I mean, kind of like we're saying, this tech is your priority, so make sure you protect that tech. And another point that is very related to that, I put as a separate point technically, but is to save your bandages for the tech. You don't want to use the bandages on yourself, because the bandages are what the tech uses to heal. So as much as possible, save all your bandages for the tech. I mean, if you really desperately need one, maybe, but I would recommend using a first aid kit on yourself instead of the bandage. So the bandages are for the tech and nothing else as far as you're concerned.
I know that you brought me here like kind of an expert that knows things, but I think I'll just say something not really expertish. I noticed once one like insane thing that in this Daybreak I was healing up with bandage, which we just said don't do that, and I started running immediately after I used it, because I had in my head like the health must go up, and then I realized if you after bandage usage start running, it's not going anywhere. You just get a little bit health. Like you need to stand still or be calm and not take any hit. Like it's actually really really bad health option for the Daybreak itself, because zombies are coming. So it's not even as a suggestion to save for technician. For yourself, it's better go for first aids or just get knocked down or die already.
Oh, we're getting there next. So trust me.
Jumping a little bit ahead, but yeah, it's save. Don't use, even if you think it's a good idea, it's probably not.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and if you ever desperately had to use a bandage on yourself, I mean, the best way to do it is to jump over the wall and use it while you're safe, and then jump back over the wall. That's the best way to do it if you had to.
Yeah, it sounds like safe position, and it just takes a lot of time getting over the wall and healing, waiting for health to go up and go down. It's again like not, yeah, sure.
Well, that's how it comes into communication, though. I mean, like, I wouldn't recommend using the walls that you go all the way over the wall. I'd recommend the walls that have the catwalks. So, what I did with my teammates when I was playing multiplayer is we'd say, okay, I really need to heal. I'm jumping over the wall real quick. You jump up on the catwalk, you heal. Your teammates cover the spot you're at, and then you jump back down, and then they go back to where they were. So, as long as you work with your team, it can work out really well.
Yeah, and actually, you mentioned. I'm just checking. I think I can throw one small tip from one of my tips and tricks videos from casual game is when you are up on the catwalk and you want to get down, if you just simply run towards the wall, you are doing this climbing down animation, which is so frustrating. And there's a way how to avoid it. Yeah, it's just right before the wall. You need to do a dodge animation, and then you're doing this dodge, and it's on the edge, and you just jump down straight away from this catwalk. It's way faster, way easier, and saves a couple of seconds.
Exactly, and those seconds are precious too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like we said, save those bandages. So, but as Mariss alluded to, he kind of jumped a little bit ahead, which is fine. But he was talking about where dying can be advantageous to you in the right context. So, if you're really low on health, it's better especially in the early rounds to save your first aid kits for the later rounds. So what you want to do instead is, it sounds weird to say it, but you actually want to get knocked down and then stand up or die. Because if you get knocked down, and Mariss is actually the first person that pointed this out to me. When we played in multiplayer, he's the first person that noticed this. But if you get knocked down and then you stand up, you actually get some or all of your health back, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's not like great tip, like, die in the game, but but if you are low on health and the wave is going through, and I don't know if you spend all the health of the first aid kits, then I think when you get up from the being knocked down, you have half of the health bar back. And sometimes there are injuries applied. That's of course not great. But if you do full dying, it means you get knocked down, and after the zombies just keep beating you, or you stay in the gas cloud, then after respawn, which is the don't waiting period, and of course then your teammates are struggling because there's no one player, but you come back with full health, with equipment, with all the injuries gone, with all the infection cured miraculously, and yeah.
Right, exactly. And again, this is all in context of you have to communicate with your team, which that's the first point I made, because pretty much everything we're saying, this has to be under the context that you're communicating with your team. This does not work if you're not going to tell somebody you're doing that, because if Mariss decides, I'm just going to die, and he doesn't say anything to me, then I'm going to be like, what's going on? Like, your whole wall's down. What happened to you?
Yeah, and especially if you try to do full dying and you are knocked down, and then your teammates are running towards you and saving you. You didn't want to be saved, and there's again communication with the team. Just
right, exactly. So, because if you get knocked down and your teammate can handle it, say there's 4 of you and somebody can cover your spot. If you're purposely trying to die, that way you can get your health back, then your teammate can cover that spot for you. Then when you come back, you can resume your spot. So it's all about communicating with your team. But, we're not saying like go die on purpose, but in some situations it can help you if you die or get knocked down. I would say get knocked down more often than die, because that 13 seconds, you don't know what's going to happen at 13 seconds. but getting knocked down is very useful because if you have no health at all, it's almost better to just let a zombie eat you for a second, get knocked down, and then get back up and have a little bit of health to play with.
Yeah, and just throwing in some thoughts. Don't do that on the, let's say, last 2-3 waves, because then your team definitely needs your help. And another, don't try being knocked down and get up while there is Juggernaut. Because when you're knocked down, Juggernaut just picks you up and tears you apart, and you
Yes,
will go
exactly.
full dying. And
Right.
yeah.
But you did bring this up, actually, which is our next point. You talked about don't try this in the late waves, which that's why the next point is save your first aid kits for your team, but use them wisely. Because this whole knockdown thing we're talking about, this is something you want to use in the early waves. This is not something you want to use in the late waves. So if you do this right, then the first 3 or 4 rounds, you're not using any health. You're only getting knocked down to get your health back, things like that. And then waves 5, 6, and 7, you have all your first aid kits for waves 5, 6, and 7. And that's the way to do this. That way you have plenty of first aid kits for those final waves. What you don't want to do is use all your first aid kits, and then you get to like wave 6, you have nothing left.
Yeah, and this is really crucial part to, again, communicate with your team. So you're not running in the situation when you are doing some knockdowns and trying to save some first aids, and then your team is at the 5 or 6 wave, and you at this point, like, you have some injuries and everything, and you need some first aid, and yes, there's done, because your teammates used all the first aids in first 2 waves, and it's like, yeah.
Yes. And that's when you yell at your team and go, why did you do this to me?
Yeah, and just a reminder for the previous point about being knocked down or getting killed. There is achievement. If just remember, if you're going for the achievement, no one is dying, try not to die.
Yes, exactly. No, I haven't actually gotten that achievement yet. I want to get that one, so I'll have to try and get that one afterwards. Maybe we can get it after this podcast.
Sounds like a good idea.
Let's give it a shot after this.
For sure.
But another tip, though, is to watch your stamina and make sure you have enough stamina boost with you. And this is something that I noticed in your video as well. You said this in your video, and it's very important to keep an eye on your stamina because, as Mariss said in his YouTube video, which I'll post in the links, you really want to watch your stamina because it takes a while to come back in this mode. So in the base game, it doesn't take as long, but you're carrying so much stuff and you're using stamina so fast in this mode that if you have to refill your stamina by just standing there, it takes a while to do that.
Yeah, well, actually, at this point, I'm just now looking at it like, this is so important. Now I want this one is most important. And yeah, I just partially repeat the same, but hitting and executing and all that, any melee and dodging takes some part of stamina, because those there are some awesome traits given for Daybreak. What are those army guys called?
Red Talon people?
Yeah, exactly. Red Talon.
Yeah, contractors. Yep.
They have awesome traits that saves and stamina and everything, but it only works when you have stamina. When it drops, like, and you need to replenish it, it takes. There is extra delay added, and this delay I can't stress enough. It's almost as bad as you need to get over the wall, wait for it if there are a lot of zombies, because you can't dodge without stamina, you can't avoid without stamina. There's a lot of
right.
You actually you just, whenever you try to do something, you interrupt this stamina coming back again, and I actually did it so badly at the first tries. I would suggest to try it out how it is. Then you understand how big this delay is to never experience it.
Yeah, because even in your video, I noticed one point that you had no stamina left. There was a Juggernaut down outside the wall, and you had to wait for a second before you killed him. And that's the situations that it really makes a difference because, it could have happened where it didn't happen in your video, but it could have happened where that Juggernaut got up because you didn't have enough stamina to kill him. Luckily you got it back in time to kill him, but it could have happened where you didn't, and then he gets back up. So you really want to make sure you have stamina.
Yeah, it's really bad. And I'm just now looking on the same tip. where you mentioned stamina boosts. I think there are quite small amount of them. It's not like four people
Yeah,
of you
it's
can
not
use them
much.
up. And in the drops there are some, but still I would save them up for some really bad situations.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's everyone spawns in with 3 bags of snacks, and then after that, sometimes in the CLEO drops you find bags of snacks or you find stimulants, but they're pretty rare. I mean, I would say out of every bag you open, it's probably like maybe you have to open 4 bags to get one drop of it. You know what I mean? So it's very rare to get them.
Yeah.
So I would say like playing Daybreak, you're probably you start with say it's a 4-player team, you start with 3 bags of snacks each. Over the course of the 7 waves, you're probably going to find maybe 5 more stacks of that out of the entire thing. So that's not much for an entire team.
Yeah.
So make sure you watch that and make sure you use those wisely.
Yeah, I can just agree. I'm not a big fan of any snacks in the casual game, but even here, I just keep the same snacks stock I have from the beginning, just for when everything goes bad. I would suggest for everyone to keep at least one, and then spread the rest for the most active players.
It also goes without saying, but try not to waste them. I mean, it does happen. I've had situations. Oh shoot, I wasted a bag of snacks on accident. Like, try not to do that. But
oh yeah. Another tip. I need to read all through, so I'm not jumping like again for the next tips. But I saw it actually. Mr. Dart plays, and he mentions it. One thing how you can save kind of stamina is mix up ranged weapon and melee weapon, because when you hit zombie and afterwards just aim somewhere and shoot 2 zombies in the head. Meanwhile, when you are aiming, your stamina grows back a little bit, and if you keep mixing up, you'll actually have some pretty decent killing chances and not drain all your stamina.
And that's honestly a great tip. And I think Mr. Dart found that out because he's been playing a lot of solo. I haven't tried as much solo yet. So, he's definitely the solo expert so far, I would say. He's beat it like I think 3 times solo already. So.
oh yeah. 2, only 2, but yes.
2? Okay, close enough.
He's a zombie killing Terminator for sure. I already nominated him, so yeah.
Right. But yeah, next tip is to don't waste wall repair kits or explosives. These are very valuable for you. So a lot of situations, I think people are going to, repair walls and use those wall kits wastefully. What you really want to do is wait for that wall to get very low or all the way down before you repair it. Because if you waste those wall repair kits, then you might get to round 7, which I've actually had before, where you get to round 7, you don't have any wall repair kits left, and you have walls down. So if you're starting wave 7 with walls down, that is not a good start to the game.
Yeah, wall down is never a good sign at any wave. But
exactly.
And just, I totally agree about not wasting. And actually, I was the one who suggested to repair only when the wall goes down. And now I'm rethinking. It's for solo and for multiplayer alike. When the wall goes down, just keep in mind zombies are running inside the base, and when you get interrupted when you try to repair the wall, and you are getting interrupted. So it's actually way harder to repair it when the wall is totally down. So
right,
I would add, like, not wasting is like when it's almost red. There's this colorful thing for each wall. It's from yellow to red, and when it's red, it means it's broken. So when it's almost red, like totally orange, then probably yes, that's about the time when you want to.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to do. Basically, you want to maximize the use of that wall. So, like you're saying, you don't want it to go all the way down, but you also don't want to repair it too early. So basically, you want to repair it when it's like the last second before it goes down. Then you want to repair it, but obviously, it's easier said than done, so just play around with it. Figure out, okay, this is the point where it's about to go down. Let me repair it now.
I would throw in another option and tip for this same. If you're going and if you're decided with the team, communicating with them, again, first point, that you will repair only when the wall goes down. it is possible and it's way easier, but then at least two other team members need to step in front and take all the zombies. And by taking, I mean not killing. It's not necessary, but you need to take aggro away. You can lure them. You can, I don't know, do whatever it takes. So the other team member who prepares the wall don't get interrupted. And that's the way how you can do it.
Yeah, and if you watch any of the streams I did with P1 and K Sizzle, I mean, this is what we did a lot, where I'd be like, okay, you know, K Sizzle, I'm repairing this wall, make sure you cover me. And he'd stand out front and cover me while I repaired the wall. And that's definitely what you want to do, like you said. So, again, it goes back to that first point, communication. Like, communication, that's why I made it the first point, because I'm not technically ranking these, but if I was, communication would probably be number one, because you have to communicate in this multiplayer mode.
Yeah, and just a reminder. So, guys, we are in the middle of the tips, and we already went back to the first communication like 4 times.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
So that should give you an idea. You know, do not be someone that's joining these games silent. Like, make sure you communicate.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk as much about explosives, but part of that tip was to not waste explosives too. I mean, it should be self-explanatory. If you waste all your explosives early, you're not going to have them for the later rounds. And the later rounds, those explosives really help.
Yeah, I would ask you why there's no 2 separate teams, but okay, I'll go with the idea. And yeah, the explosives. 2 points just to add in here is what we mean by wasting. Wasting is on the first 3-4 waves. It would be a waste because they are easy. The first waves are easy, and another waste would be throwing grenade. There's 1 zombie left. Like, yeah, if you use the explosives, then it's either when the wall goes down and everything goes bad, either the technician is being attacked by a bunch of zombies, or there's like a lot of zombies and you just with 1 grenade, 1 throwable can take all of them. Then go for it. You will save ammo, you will save stamina, you will save time, you will save the wall.
Absolutely. And it's kind of funny you say that about, you know, I'm not sure why you didn't have these separate tips, because actually I did have them as separate tips, but that would have been 21 tips. So I'm like, I can't have 21 tips. I need to aim at even 20 so I can bind them.
Yeah. Funny as it sounds, it's similar as I have for my tips and tricks video. If I have more in the title, I still mention like round numbers because I like them more.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the only reason I combine them. I'm like, no, 21 doesn't sound good. I need to have 20 tips instead.
No, then it's all fine. I'm totally with you with this. So, cool.
Yes. But yeah, moving on. This is one thing we've talked about before in the past when talking to each other. I think we mentioned it on the last podcast we talked about, but you want to use single fire guns to save ammo. And so far, I would recommend the blast rifle, which is also what Mr. Dart uses a lot. I think he calls this the elephant gun, but the blast rifle is very good because it shoots a couple of projectiles at once and it does a lot of damage. So it's kind of like, you know, it's not quite a sniper rifle, but it's pretty close to a sniper rifle, and it's, you know, a very good rifle to use. But for example, the machine pistol is one gun I've unlocked, and the machine pistol is really cool, and I would love to use it in the base game, but in the Daybreak mode, the machine pistol wastes so much ammo, and it's not worth your time because it wastes so much of your ammo too fast.
Yeah, and one thing just additional to the same point is how to save that ammo. When you start the game, and if you choose any machine gun, any assault rifle, they by default will have full auto. So just before you start, before any zombies appear, just aim somewhere and switch to single shot, so you are not taken by surprise when suddenly your rifle is just going full auto.
Right, I agree for sure.
And I'm just looking at the rifle. I think I don't have the rifle unlocked which the Mr. Dart uses. But
I don't think you do. That's one of the later ones. It's pretty late.
But I'm using the one which is in the second row with 16 bullets only, and I find it really good.
That one is a good one. That's the CLEO battle rifle. The battle rifle is a pretty decent one.
Yeah, and it's the shooting speed, I think, is a bit faster. It's not as strong as this elephant gun, but it's quite useful, especially when the juggernauts are near. You can aim at head, and just as fast as you click, the rifle shoots, and you can actually take down Juggernaut, like just like that. And yeah, I'm just saying, yeah, rifles are good. Save the ammo and aim for head.
Definitely. I should always be, aiming for the head, but, sometimes in that mode, it's kind of hard because, like, everything's so hectic, you can't really aim up your shots, but...
Yeah, true.
But another tip we have is to use weapons that only use a little bit of stamina or as little stamina as possible. So I would recommend the Battle Axe, which a lot of you might not have the Battle Axe right now because the Battle Axe is the last melee weapon you unlock, but once you unlock that, I would recommend only using that the rest of the time you play Daybreak, because the Battle Axe is so great. It does, a lot of damage for a little bit of stamina. But for example, the Great Hammer uses a lot of stamina per swing, and in my opinion, the Great Hammer is not good to use in Daybreak because it just uses so much stamina, and we talked about earlier, you don't want to use much stamina.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, if you mentioned the Battle Axe are the last melee weapon, then I can suggest from the first line, it's like fourth melee weapon, and I think it's called hand axe.
Hand axe, yep.
Yeah, that would be mid if you don't have the last one, obviously. That's the really fast weapon, high speed, killing like a boss. That would be, and you can unlock it quite early. So yes, and it uses really small amount of stamina, and yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I'm glad you said that, because if you don't have the Battle Axe, then the one I'd recommend next is the CLEO Hand Axe. So the Hand Axe is the second best one to use, I would say, because it's, like you said, it doesn't use much stamina, and it does a lot of good job killing things.
Yeah, and just throwing in one more tip, as in the beginning you don't have unlocked all those elephant guns and everything, you can find them in the late wave drops, and the same hand axe I think can be found after the fifth or sixth wave in the drops, so keep an eye for them, and the same goes other way. You can find there, I think, the same what was the high stamina using item?
The Great Hammer. The Great Hammer uses a lot.
At the beginning I actually did this mistake. Like, I'm just looking, this is a new weapon, probably it's better. It's not always better. If you have already hand axe, don't change, right. Don't swap to this Great Hammer.
I mean, I would recommend trying it out for yourself at least, just to see. But like, if you're going for, okay, I have to win this time, like if you're playing, very serious at the moment, I probably wouldn't try out new things, when you're playing serious. I would probably, try out, okay, I just unlocked this new weapon. Let me try it out, see how I do, and then, move from there. But I mean, the Great Hammer, if you want to try it out, by all means try it out. But if you're trying to win, then I would say the Great Hammer is not going to help you do that, because it's very hard to use because it uses a lot of stamina.
Yeah, totally agree.
But we did talk about the Ferals and Juggernauts a little bit earlier, but I have two separate points on those. One of those is to watch for the Ferals and try to take them out early. It sounds kind of obvious, but you want to try and take out these Ferals before they go over the wall, because if the Feral gets over the wall, it's going to hit your Technician, and you don't want that to happen. So, watch your mini-map. If you hear a Feral, then try to kill that Feral before it gets over the wall.
I'm thinking how much tips I want to throw in for this one point. Like a lot or a little? Just give me a tip.
Whatever you want.
Okay, I'll just quickly, because it goes together with previous points as well. The same elephant gun, as I noticed from Mr. Dart. The elephant gun, you can shoot Feral wherever. I think in the leg even, and it will die from one shot. So that's why this elephant rifle is good. You don't need to worry about aiming at heads.
Yes. And it's a CLEO blast rifle. It's not technically called elephant gun. CLEO blast rifle, just so everyone knows.
Thanks for correction. Yes, I'm just
no problem.
Elephant gun sounds like you understand the power.
Yeah, it sounds better, but I mean, like, just so no one's like, oh, I don't have this elephant gun. Where is it? Like, just so they don't think I can't find it. Like, it's a CLEO blast rifle technically.
How to unlock my elephant gun? Yeah. So yeah. That's one tip. Another tip, what I noticed, even if probably you don't have this blast rifle unlocked yet, when Ferals are near the wall, do whatever it takes to take at least one shot at the Feral, because AI is quite simple. If you trigger and if you shot the feral, you will get the aggro. And it's happened so many times with me that feral is jumping over the wall. I shoot him in the leg or somewhere. He's still alive, but he's already over the wall. But I aggro it. And then the feral comes back outside, away from the technician, like, who the hell shot at me? And
Right.
actually, that's how you save. That's how you save the time running towards the wall, jumping over the wall, and then yes.
Exactly.
And the last one I could add is also when the feral is inside. Just keep in mind the wall has this shooting view. You can shoot the feral by not jumping inside. I saw how Mr. Dart does it. I did it one time also when I couldn't kill the feral before it. So yeah, it's just in the range you can still take out.
Yeah, no, I would agree for sure. But as I mentioned, Juggernauts as well. The one quick point I had on them is if you are playing multiplayer and say like you have 4 people, I would recommend double teaming Juggernauts at minimum to take them out early, because you shouldn't leave, Juggernaut to one person to do it. I mean, if you're an experienced player, you should be able to take out the Juggernaut by yourself, but it's just better off to have 2 players take him out together. That way he dies fast and you can move on.
And I hope you will agree with this. Taking out Juggernaut, it's a bit more complicated than it sounds, because of simple reason. The Juggernauts are not coming single zombie. There are small zombies around, and if one person is taking out the Juggernaut, it doesn't mean you both need to hit Juggernaut, but at least take the zombies off from the one who's killing the Juggernaut.
Right.
It's still team effort, and you're still technically killing little zombies, but you are helping to kill the Juggernaut. So just right? Am I right?
No, I definitely agree with that. Like, say Mariss and I are going to take out a Juggernaut together. Mariss might actually hit the Juggernaut, and what I would do instead is try and keep the other zombies off Mariss. That way he can kill the Juggernaut.
Yeah, and team effort, and finally, when there's no small zombies around, and one is shooting, another might take melee or something. But yeah, it's team effort, and yeah, by the 2 people, it's way easier to take them out.
Absolutely, I would definitely agree. I mean, I've even, I don't recommend this per se, but sometimes we even use 3 people to do it. But if you use 3 people to do it in a 4-player game, then you're basically leaving one spot unprotected mostly. I mean, one guy might not be able to handle the rest of the map, so I would recommend trying to do it with 2 people. But
yeah, and just keep in mind when you are playing 4 people or even 3 people, the Juggernauts, I think, mostly come in the pairs. It's not like one Juggernaut. If you are killing one, probably there's another on the other side of the wall, other side of the map. So it's not like everyone is helping and focusing. Like, yeah, it's another reason why not maybe switch and run to the one side. There's probably another other side of the map.
No, definitely. But another tip we have is to send 2 people out for drops at least, and then have one person heal the tech and fix the walls. So if you're playing with 3 players or 4 players, then you can send 2 players out to get the drops, and then one player goes back behind the wall and they heal the technician if they need to. They fix the walls. That way you're preparing for the next round, and when the next round starts, everything's all prepared.
Yeah, this is awesome tip, and I'd say I'm thinking I probably would suggest to do it even with 2 people running for drops if you are only 2 people playing. Because keep in mind, since the beginning, since the start of the match, everything you have and in the box, if you're not getting the drops, that's it. You run out of the repair kits, you run out of the first aids, ammo. The only thing how to get is buy those drops. So those drops are quite essential for gathering the same explosives, the same weapons, the same ammo for the last waves. You will never ever win this game if you're not getting the drops. I think it's simple as that.
But at the same time, you're not going to win the game if your technician has no health. So it's important to take care of that stuff too.
Yeah, I think it's manageable to run by the drops, take at least one drop, and then still run back and heal the wall and technician. Like there are 2-minute breaks in between, so I would still aim for getting drops and of course healing technician.
Yeah, I mean, if you are playing with 2 people, like you said, what I would suggest is what Mr. Stainless and I did. You know, we had never played duos yet. We played duos one time together, and we won that one time. And what we did is we sent one of us out for drops, and one of us repaired the walls, and then we went out for drops after that. So there's enough time in there that, like, say I'm the person repairing the walls, I can repair the walls and then go out for the close drops, and Mr. Stainless can go out for the long drops. So the person that's repairing the walls, they should get the drops that are close. The person that's not repairing walls, they should go out farther in the field.
Yeah, actually, that also might work. It all depends if the technician needs health and if and how many walls needs to be repaired. So it also must be considered. So yeah, be flexible.
But related to this, though, is a great tip that I found when playing with some of the people from Decay Fest is to empty your inventory on the ground in the area that you're going before you drop. So basically what I mean by this is, like, say I'm covering the right side of the map. I want to empty all of my inventory, you know, right on the floor, and then go out for the drops, because then I have empty inventory. I can grab all the stuff from the drops. I can come back and sort that stuff out. And then what you do before the game starts, you go back out front, you pick up the stuff that you want to use, and then it's all there for you.
I don't know what to say here. Because what I have in my mind is a bit opposite, probably. Just from my own experience in multiplayer and in single player. How I did is the boxes inside the base, they're like few seconds away from the wall, and even if the last zombies are still there, like 1, 2, 3, you just leave them if you are the runner for the drops. And I always run back to the this box for few reasons, as we previously already acknowledged. Picking up from the ground, you don't know what you are picking up unless you are right next to the package, and it takes extra time. So it's a bit wasteful to not run back to the box and place items in the box. And in all my playthroughs, I managed to take extra time, run to the box, throw all the stuff in your clear out your inventory, and then still run for the boxes. So it might be useful on the ground, as you just mentioned, and what this tip is about. I'm just saying there is a way, and you can manage to run back to the box and place everything in box and run for the drops.
I mean, in my opinion, I just think you're never going to have enough time to do that, because if I have my inventory, I'm running back behind the wall, dropping in the box. If I have to go out to get the CLEO drops, then go back to the box again, sort through it, get the stuff I need, that's a lot of time you're taking. Like, if I'm standing out front of the wall, all I have to do is drop all my stuff on the ground, go get the drop, bring the drop to the back of the box, and then get my stuff again. So to me, it's a lot easier to do it that way, because all the stuff you want is already on the ground for you. You already know what you're picking up. It's not like you're guessing what you're picking up. You already know, this is the stuff I'm picking up that I had before. This is the stuff I want.
Yeah, that is actually an excellent point. When and if you on the ground throwing your items, you know what you're doing. That's a good point. And still, if you have you need some time to pick them up, it's one thing. And if I may just point out, Blaise is gaming on Xbox, and
yes,
there might be more difficult to do all these transaction boxes and everything. I'm playing on PC.
That's probably true, yeah. Honestly, that's probably true.
And I'm playing on PC, and I just say, once again, in all waves, single and all those 5 hours, I always run back to the box, always place, always gather the drops, then come back. Sometimes even went out for the second time drops, because there's in the drops there are more than just one inventory slot. Came back and then picked up my items and went back on the wall. It's manageable, but trust me, it's not easy. Like, I'm not just walking around. You must pay attention to stamina, to inventory, to slots, where to drop, what to drop. Yeah.
No, you definitely make a good point there, and because you are playing on PC, it's probably a lot faster for you to sort through those boxes than it is for me on Xbox, because for me, sorting through those boxes, it's going to take me too much time that it's not worth it for me to do it.
Yeah, so actually there are 2 tips then for both platforms.
Yeah, exactly.
To use. Awesome. You're welcome, guys.
Exactly. But we only have a couple tips left. One of those is to stay out front of the wall with everyone, whether that's 2, 3, or 4 people. And this is something that when Mariss and I played together for the first time, we actually didn't realize this until later. But we had a plan where like someone was always behind the wall, things like that. It's actually easier if you just have everyone outside the wall. You make sure nothing touches the walls because those walls are important to keep safe. So it's actually better if you have your entire team outside the walls, take care of the stuff outside the walls, and then go back behind the wall if you need to.
It's actually, I'm glad that you bring this point in here because we had strategy because we prepared by watching the demos. But I was thinking exact same thing after our streams, and awesome point. And I can just throw a little bit more. If you are 4 people outside, keep in mind the zombies are kind of at the first running towards the technician, then realizing there's a wall. But if they see a person in front of all, they are going for the person, like the players, which means the wall is quite safe, and they are not actually touching the wall if they see the players outside.
Exactly. So if you stand behind the wall, they're all going to go for the walls and take your walls down. So it's better for you to stay outside the wall and protect those walls.
Yeah, and just extra to take their attention. It's from the solo, but there's no difference by playing the multiplayer. When the zombies are coming, they're coming from, let's say, all directions, and you can catch their attention by just shooting at them. You can miss, but if you shoot at them, there was so many occasions they're just running toward the wall, and if you are standing like a bit further away, just shoot at that side. They will hear the sound and still try to attack you, and that's how you can save your team members if they are overswarmed or something. Just take some of them on you, like get the aggro.
Right, I would agree for sure. But another point we have is kind of similar to staying outside the wall. It's to divide the map based on the people you have. So if you have 4 people, you might want to do 2 people on the left side, 2 people on the right side. You might want to spread it out, some in the middle. If you have only 2 people, you might want to do, what Mr. Stainless and I did is one person covers the left, one covers the right, which I think works well. But divide the map based on the people you have and just know going in, okay, this is kind of my area. And it's not to say like, okay, that's Mariss's area, I'm never going in that area. Like if Mariss needs help, I'll go help him. But like, just know in the back of your head, this is my area. I have to try and protect this. If I need help, I'll call for it.
Yeah, this is just, and one more about the spreading and covering everything. You when you play the game more and more, you will see there are let's say designated areas where those zombies come from. And pay attention to those because they are not all the time all the same. It's sometimes more to the left side, sometimes more to the right. Sometimes it's both far ends on the map where the zombies approach, or even juggernauts are coming. So, always be flexible and check for those the coverage.
No, I would agree for sure. And we have one tip left. So this last tip we have is to take everything from the drops if possible and leave it on the ground somewhere if you don't need it right away. And there's a couple reasons for this. One of these is achievement related. There's actually one achievement that is to take 25 CLEO drops and win the game still. But if you leave something in those CLEO drops, it doesn't count as you taking the drop. So you have to take the full drop to get that achievement. So that's one reason to do that. The other reason is if you're playing the game later and you might run out of ammo you don't want. Like, say, for example, Mariss is using shotgun ammo. He runs out of shotgun ammo, but he hasn't been taking the 7.62 ammo this whole time. If Mariss hasn't been taking the 7.62 ammo the whole time, then he might not have enough ammo to use later. So you want to try and take everything. Even if you don't think you're going to use it, you can just put it away somewhere and then use it later.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, are you going for the last point where the drop boxes, if you leave anything there, after the wave, the new boxes are coming in, the previous ones are gone. So all the items in the boxes, if you leave them there, they will be gone. But if you take them out and drop on the ground, you can pick them at any other break afterwards. So just,
Exactly. That's basically the main part of this point is if you leave it inside the CLEO drop container, it will despawn. If you take it outside of there, you can put it on the ground. You can put it wherever you want. It won't despawn. So that's the main thing is you want to make sure you take it out. even if you drop it in the field, that is still better than leaving it in the thing. Because if you take it out, just drop it in the field, at least it'll still be there for later.
Yeah, of course. Keep in mind that as previous suggestions for getting them, and if you have 3-4 people, the 2 runners, you should be able to bring everything back. Even if the ammo is not that one for your gun, keep in mind you need to take care of all the teams. It's team game after all.
Right, definitely. And actually, a small bonus tip that I will give is, say Mariss was covering the left side, right, and he died. Well, what happens when you die is you respawn, and there's actually a little container. It's like a mini bag on the ground, and it's basically like where his body died, and it has all of his stuff in there. What I would recommend doing is actually not taking everything out of there. Leave something in there, like leave one item in there, leave like a weapon you don't want, and then you can actually use that as an extra container. So what you can do later in the game is you can put stuff in there, that way it's outside the wall, Oh, put it in the Mariss body bag,
I'm already a bit skeptical about this point. I don't want my corpse to be used as a, I don't know, container. Excuse me, excuse you. And actually, yeah, great tip. And if I may, another for the same, keep in mind that, for example, okay, let's take again the example when I die, not you, but I'm dead. I respawn with simple axe, simple sword, I think, simple rifle and everything. The first thing I will do, if the technician is safe, I will run to my corpse and retrieve back my actual weapon, my actual melee, and all my loot. So few tips here. If you are the player who's not dead, maybe not loot the corpse, because the player will just respawn and try to get his things back. So
no, I agree. And the one thing I will say is I haven't personally tried this one a lot, so I'd be a little bit wary of it just in case. Like, I don't want to, put all my CLEO ammo in that like body bag and then it despawns. So try it out a little bit before you do that. Like put like one item in there, see if it despawns after, because I don't know if it despawns ever. But I think if you leave one item in there, it'll never despawn. But I would test this out a little bit before, trying it like full game. But I think that is something that you can actually do.
Yeah, and this bonus tip actually goes another way, opposite way as well. For example, when someone dies and you loot everything, one thing that is left in the corpse is this backpack, because we all have 8-slot backpacks.
Exactly.
And if you don't loot it, this package will all the time be on the ground, and it's so annoying, at least for me. So for me, like, take everything so the corpse finally is gone.
No, that's true. I mean, it just depends if you want to use it or not. But for me, I think it's a good idea that, like, you have basically like the little boxes you have way in the back of the map, like the 3 containers you start with at the back. Like, basically, I look at this like that, it's basically a container that's out front. So it's better to have that container out front. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, sure. It's another box.
Exactly. It's basically a box, We'll just use Mariss's dead body's box.
Yeah, and I can then run towards other end of the map and die there. And there's another box. And just popping up the boxes.
Finally, Mariss is useful for something, right?
Box for everyone. I will just change my nick to Mariss Box. Yep.
That works out well.
Awesome. I like it.
Yeah. I figured you'd like that one. So.
Yes.
But, that's all we have for tips. So, I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and, I hope these help you in the multiplayer version of Daybreak. Like I said, I will be doing a solo version of this at some point, so, look out for that. I'm not sure when it'll be exactly, but I will definitely do a solo podcast about solo tips, because solo is a much different experience, and you have to use much different, tactics than solo. So I will do a different one for that, but hopefully this helps you in multiplayer, and I really thank you for being on again, Mariss. I really appreciate that, and it's been a lot of fun to have you on.
Oh yeah, thanks for inviting, and happy to share. We both were there, so yes, this is our both multiplayer experience. Awesome.
Exactly. But if people want to find you, how can they find you, Mariss?
Oh, it's right next to the bat signal in the sky. There's a Mariss signal. Oh,
It's called the Mariss box.
yes, look for the corpse on the ground where you can spit stuff. That's me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I opened up and just created also on Facebook page and Twitter account. They're mostly just referring and sharing. And my main spot and channel is YouTube, and everywhere I go by the name ML Mariss. So that's how you can find me. I hope if you can put the link somewhere also, just mentioning.
Yes, in the description I will have your YouTube link, so people can check out your YouTube, and I definitely recommend them doing that. You do a great job with it, and I love all your videos.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, similarly as with your podcast and streams together with you, awesome experience, cross experience. So yeah, you're doing quite well yourself.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It's nice to work together and make this community better.
Oh yes, I hope we are doing that, guys. Yeah, definitely. They can comment on that podcast, right?
There's technically no comments in the way there's YouTube, but they can. It's a good way to segue into this. They can get a hold of me via my email, theblaisexperience@gmail.com. They can get a hold of me via Twitter @Blaise XPerience. That's capital BLAISE, capital XPerience. They can also message me on Xbox if they want to. My gamer tag is the same exact thing as my Twitter, so Blaise XPerience. Or if they want to, they can join my Discord, and that will be in the show notes as well. And they can join my Discord and talk to me on Discord and give me feedback that way.
Yeah, I was thinking, I met you and I have all the comments and everything in your Discord, so that's definitely to check out. And I would suggest you to go out, check out the podcast, and then join the community. There's not only me and Blaise, there are other people, other great creators and players as well that can help you out and play together. So, and there you can leave all the awesome comments and tell us and tell Blaise how much we help and highlight this game and tips, tricks, and everything. So please do so.
Absolutely. There's a lot of great community members, in my Discord, and we all try to work together and, have a great experience. So definitely, come on by and check it out. And I would definitely, recommend one more time Mariss's YouTube. It's a great spot to get a lot of information as well. So definitely check that out too. But if you are looking for the podcast, you probably already know because you're listening to this. But if you don't and you want to refer a friend a different way, maybe your friend doesn't have a certain way, you can refer them a different way to get to the podcast. We are found on Acast, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Blueberry, Podbean, Radio Public, many other directories. So pretty much any directory you can find, we will be there. And, let us know what you think. Leave us feedback, leave us a review, and, thank you very much. And thank you again, Mariss, for coming on here.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And thank you to you listeners. We really appreciate you listening. So thank you for listening to the Blaise XPerience.